I live in the lower mainland outside of the city of Vancouver and simply wouldn't be able to find the time and or energy to drive to Vancouver and watch so many films in the movie theater. Thank you for providing us the pleasure of the festival during these trying times. Encouraged by this experience, we are looking at the feasibility of offering a hybrid festival in 2022 with a blend of in-person and stay-at-home events and screenings. In the meantime, our Tuesday screenings, traditionally held at the Parrott Center, have moved to our new online format and have included the films Pictures of His Life, The Tobacconist, The Keeper, and Unchained. We are extremely grateful that our community has stood with us through this bumpy ride. None of our screenings or programs would have been possible without the generous support of our sponsors and granting agencies. Jewish Federation of Greater Vancouver acted quickly in the early days of the pandemic, establishing a COVID-19 Community Recovery Task Force, chaired by Risa Levine, to assess the impact of the pandemic would have on Federation agencies like ourselves. Their support enabled us and our sister organizations to carry out their mandate in these difficult times. The federal government also offered special funding to allow organizations such as us to survive. We received Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy, reduced Canadian Employee Remittance, and Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy, as well as Canada Emergency Small Business Loan. We are on track to repay this loan by the deadline of December 31, 2021, which will qualify us for our loan to be interest-free and for us to receive a loan forgiveness grant of $10,000. We have received a grant from the Isaac and Sophie Waldman Fund and expect to receive additional grants from the provincial gaming grants and the Betty Averbach Foundation. Our legacy fund had to ride a roller coaster from April 1, 2020 to March 31, 2021. Initially, 2020 suffered very significant losses due to the investments that the fund had. The fund thankfully recovered as financial managers adapted to market shifts and demands. The losses of the first half of 2020 were recuperated in the second half, and we ended the legacy fund's fiscal year up dramatically by 19.1%. We encourage people to support the Legacy Fund and note there are special advantages of donating shares of publicly traded companies. To wrap up, I'd like to share with you two of the wonderful comments we received through our post-festival survey. This survey was extremely informative and saw an astounding response rate of over 50%. I left it late, quote, I left it late as I was busy at work, which was a big mistake. There were between 12 and 14 movies I wanted to see. I ended up choosing 5, which I watched over 2 days. The selection and diversity of films were great, and I truly believe there was something for everyone. I laughed, I cried, I was inspired, and most importantly, felt proud to be Jewish and proud of Israel. A job well done. And another survey response. Jewish Film Festival leaves you hungry. This year's festival was like the proverbial Jewish mother. It was all about the food. Food and death, food and love, food and travel, food and tradition, food and innovation. It should have come with an online cookbook. There were movies that were too long. Oi, does this never end? There were films that were too short. I can't believe it's over. No sequel? Best of all, a lot of the movies were fresh and that you did not have that nagging feeling you'd seen them before or always know where they were going. Bring on the appetizers of films throughout the years before serving the main course up in person and online next year. This year, we welcome 3 new board members, Lisa Milne, Emma Myers, and Evelyn Naaman, I want to personally thank all of our board members for their devotion in navigating these treacherous times. A special thank you to our wonderful executive director, Robert Albanese, and finally, a big thank you to all our sponsors and film attendees. See you at the movies. Thank you.
Tough act to follow. That's fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Typically, if I'm not mistaken, we have a motion to receive the report. So I'd like someone to move and second that motion. David can't, obviously. Have I got a mover? Ian. And the seconder will be Mike Levitt. Thanks, Mike. Okay, that was fast. The next thing on the agenda is the report from the executive director.
My name is Robert Albanese, and I am the Executive and Artistic Director of the Vancouver Jewish Film Center and Film Festival. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. 2020. This is the year we're reporting on from January 1, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, and another significant hurdle. The COVID-19 pandemic dominated 2020, presenting hurdles we'd never faced before. We all remember that in 2019, we were forced to vacate from our traditional November time slot due to the Chutzpah Festival's permanent move. This meant the film festival would not host the 2019 film festival, having to postpone into 2020. Fortunately, Cineplex Entertainment agreed in October 2019 to continue their sponsorship and offered us the week of February 27 to March 8, 2020, and that turned out to be a blessing. The VJFF was on the move, and we hoped our audience would follow. Ian and Sandy Pan, thank you so much, donated $10,000 to the VJFC to hire Coldwater Communications, a PR firm, to assist with the marketing and publicity we needed to get the word out about our move. Meanwhile, the Film Festival's Film Selection Committee previewed over 200 films to come up with the best 30 to bring to Vancouver in 2020. By all accounts, the 30th annual Film Festival was a success, engaging with all our audience. Attendance was down marginally, mostly due to rising concern over being reported in the press a deadly virus that was starting to spread around the world. In fact, our Jewish Film Festival was the last film festival to complete an in-person event in 2020. On March 11th, 3 days later, the WHO declared the virus a pandemic, and life as we knew it was suspended. We launched a campaign to raise awareness for our VJFF Legacy Fund during the film festival, with plans to follow up with fundraising in the spring and summer months. However, due to the pandemic's restrictions, we set aside those plans. Community organizations and individuals all over the world moved to meet the tremendous need for support of a much more immediate need, as so many people struggled. And we began working remotely. No in-person interactions, and the full impact of the virus was isolating us all. We decided to support our audience the best way we could, to use our expertise in searching for films, to now find free films online to present to our newsletter and subscribers. We sent out a weekly newsletter every single week from April through August, with a new list each week of free films to watch at home or share with your own family and friends. The engagement with our audience was tremendous. The response to our weekly newsletter quadrupled the average industry expectations for opening of newsletters, as well as click-throughs to the actual content. And we welcome new members every week. We're now reaching over 3,000 people. As summer turned into fall, with the realization that this pandemic was far from over, our focus began to include discussions on what we would do come March 2021. The possibility of an in-person film festival was becoming more and more remote. We had seen many film festivals cancel their event. Some did make the switch to presenting their festivals online, many resulting in significant losses. We had been one of the lucky few who squeaked by earlier in the year. We began internal discussions to decide what to do going forward. Should we cancel 2021 altogether or find a way to present films uniquely online? After an exhaustive search of film festival community members, we approached Cinesend, the company using the most advanced technology for secure film uploading and hosting capability in the entire film industry. We asked for a proposal to help us to move online. Meanwhile, our online ticketing portal, Elevant, a major player in the film festival ticketing industry, was itself moving at a frenetic pace to build up their systems to offer a compatible option of their film festival for us. So while we were grappling with our future with no revenue coming in since March 2020, we applied for support from the federal government and qualified for both the CEWS and CEBA programs, the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and the Canada Emergency Business Loan. Concurrently with that assistance, the Jewish Federation of Greater Vancouver assembled a group of individuals to spearhead a COVID-19 task force to assist partner agencies such as ourselves deal with the challenges we all faced. We presented a proposal that would allow us to purchase the rights to use the technology we needed to bring the film festival online and into the homes of our Vancouver audience, and awaited their deliberations. While planning for the March 2021 Film Festival, we moved from offering free weekly films to presenting a slate of films available to rent from our website to build awareness for the upcoming film festival. The uptake in rentals was very low, but we mitigated any losses by entering only into 50-50 shared contracts with the film's distributors. As 2020 came to a close, we counted our blessings, having narrowly avoided missing a second year in a row without producing and presenting our festival. Thankfully, unlike so many other not-for-profit organizations that ceased to exist in 2020, we not only survived, we thrived and recovered, and we're hopeful we would make the transition to an online offering in 2021. In closing, I want to acknowledge the tremendous support from the entire dedicated board of directors, led by David Schwartz, our president, Carol Lieberman, our secretary,
Yay!
and Mel Ackerman, our treasurer. Special thanks to our longest serving board member, Ian Penn. Ian Penn, along with his wife Sandy, established the lead gift to set up our Vancouver Jewish Film Festival Legacy Fund with the Jewish Community Foundation. But also, their support for each and every year is tremendous. It's Ian and Sandy's vision and support that has been the underpinning foundation of this society. We're so very grateful to our leading film festival legacy funders as well, Judy and Isaac Tao for their donor-designated fund, as well as major donors Terry McComas, Lauren Greenberg, and Gary Zlotnick. I'd also like to thank our corporate sponsors, led personally by Joe Wertman of the Leo Wertman Residences and Gary Zlotnick of ZLC, for their personal support, as well as the continued financial support from the Jewish Federation, the City of Vancouver, the Province of British Columbia, and the Royal Bank of Canada. It's thanks to those and many other generous individuals, organizations, corporations, and more sponsors and donors, too numerous to mention, who support the Vancouver Jewish Film Centre, who make it possible for us to bring high-quality films to Vancouver that reflect the mission of the Society of showcasing the diversity of Jewish culture, heritage, and identity through film. From strength to strength, thank you.
Well done.
Thanks, Robert.
You're welcome.
I would like a motion to receive the report from the executive director. I'd like a mover and a seconder.
I move, David.
David moves and Deborah seconds.
Finally.
Finally. I
Gotta
wasn't
be
looking at
fast.
your part of the universe there. Okay, I'm hearing no response about anything, so we can move on to the next issue, which is the financial report. Mel?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. After the flamboyance and entertainment value of our first two speakers. I am today presenting our financials to December 2020. And although they show a very healthy financial position, they do reflect a very unusual year, which is not at all comparable to 2019, as that was a year with no festival. 2020 shows about a $29,000 profit instead of the break-even that we budgeted, thanks to $40,000 in government wage and other subsidies. We claimed these subsidies despite having the last normal film festival in North America, as we knew we would be losing most of our other revenue sources and had no certainty of the next film festival. The only other significant budget variance is a drop of about $12,000 in non-film festival revenues, obviously due to COVID, cancellation of our non-festival showings. Our net assets are accordingly improved by about $30,000 to $86,000 thanks to these subsidies, and future government loan forgiveness will provide a further $20,000 when we repay the balance in 2022. I know David Schwartz mentioned 2021, but in fact, in 2021, it becomes a term loan repayable sometime in 2022. We have the money set aside to repay this. I wish now to report on our legacy fund, which is managed by the Jewish Community Foundation. We have been fortunate enough to have generated just over $450,000 over the past 2 years. And despite the terrible March 2020 market collapse, have maintained, if not appreciated by much. We have received an income distribution of about $12,000. There is also, excuse me, there is also a further significant amount that a family foundation has committed to us, but this is managed independently and we will receive discretionary annual distributions. If any members wish to contribute to our fund, you may wish to consider a tax beneficial plan that allows you to contribute high appreciated shares without having to pay tax on the gain. Further information can be provided if requested, but I would like to say that in 2020, we received some Apple shares from a donor which had quadrupled in value, and the donor had no tax to pay on the gift and got a full value donation receipt. If that's not a win-win situation, I don't know what is. I feel the need to discuss 2021 as our 2021 budget has been so difficult to set due to a number of serious unknowns that have to some extent been set out by our previous speakers. A virtual film festival with new technology costs and unknown operating costs. Potential film sponsors uncertain of what they are getting for their money. Grants that we have been advised to apply for that are not yet approved, and government subsidies that are not yet certain. Some 2021 or maybe 2022 grants may also be reduced as our year-end 2020 net assets have increased as stated above and may be above their guidelines for assistance. Our interim financial statements to May 2021 show net earnings of about $58,000 and net assets of about $94,000. However, we have had our film festival, so for the rest of the year, it will be substantially regular monthly expenses with unknown and unpredictable revenues. Robert and I have done our best to be not overly optimistic and have presented to the board a 2021 budget with a small loss expected. If there are any questions, I'm prepared to take those now.
Mike?
Mel, I wanted to ask, with the CBA loan, are you planning to pay it back early, or are you going to wait till the end of December next year?
Well, I would say sometime next year. We certainly intend to qualify for the loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
We have 60,000 in loans. We have the 40,000 necessary to repay, and we'll do so well within the timeline so to ensure we do earn the $20,000 of forgivable loan.
The only reason I ask is within the group I work for, I think we've got about 6 of those loans, and we're going to wait right till the end because there's a slight chance there may be further forgiveness from the government. But if you've paid them back already, you won't get the money. However,
Okay.
if you've still got the loan, hold on to it because there's probably an election coming up, and it may be within the election as well. So
That's a good thought. That's a really good thought, Michael. Thank you very much.
sure.
Clearly, we were planning to wait to the end, but I had no idea that maybe a month or two would make it much difference. But we're quite willing to repay back in December 2022. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Mike, is there any gossip within that framework where if there is a change of government, the forgivable portion will be rescinded?
No, they can't change that.
Okay.
No.
Even I would know that without going back to them. Yeah. There's no way I'd let them get away with that.
Yeah. No.
Anything else?
Okay, are there any more questions?
This is your last chance to interrogate me.
Last chance for this year.
Okay, in that case, I would move that we approve. I'll put to Mark anyway, to approve the 2020 financial statements as reviewed by our accountant Sanders Russell and Co. And also to move to reappoint Sanders Russell and Co. and give our executive the responsibility to negotiate their 2021 fees.
Okay, I have a mover for 2 important motions. I need a seconder for either or both. Let's
Start with one. Move to approve the 2020 financial statements.
Right. Okay, we'll do one at a time. Arlene,
Yeah.
you get to second that. And the next motion, which is to reappoint the auditors with
They're
the
not
board-
auditors, no. Sanders Russell and Co. are our accountants,
Oh, sorry.
and you've got to give us, the executive, the responsibility to negotiate their fees.
Okay, so we're going to vote on these at the same time. Mel has made the second motion, and Lisa, who had her hand up, will be seconding this motion. So everyone's name is sprinkled in the minutes. So
Could you please repeat the name of the accountants?
Sanders, Sanders, Russell and Co. CPAs.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we have the 2 motions. They've been properly moved somehow and seconded, and we're going to vote on them at the same time.
Sorry, who seconded? Lisa, was it?
Lisa?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, so the paperwork is done. We'll use the same format as earlier. If anyone is opposed, let me know. Otherwise, it will be voted on unanimously. I'm looking for hands of denial. That's it. Oh,
Your hand
good
up.
luck. Okay, so those have both been passed unanimously.
Thank you. Carol, I'll send you a copy of that report.
Thank you. And just to clarify, the motion was to allow the executive to renegotiate their fees.
It's on my report. I will send
Thank
it to
you.
you, but yes.
Thank you. I like your reports.
Okay, so there are only a few things left. Annual membership dues. Is there any thought on this? Board members? We have to do something with them. Do we keep them as is or do we change them?
Keep them as
David?
is.
Oh, you're on mute, David.
I don't think there should be any change.
Okay, so let's have a motion. David will make it, and I'll make Emma the seconder on this one, that we keep the dues the same as in the previous year. Okay. Motion moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone opposed, let me know. Done. Thank you very much. The last point is the election of board members. Does anyone want to introduce this or should I?
You do it.
Okay, well, the way the board is set up, Every second year, we get half the board reelected, so there's always continuity, so you don't ever get rid of the whole board at once. This year, there are 5 individuals standing for a 2-year term. They are Arlene Howard, Emma Myers, Lisa Mild, Evelyn Neyman, and Deborah Reutberg. Those are the names that are listed here. I'm not aware of any other nominations. So I forget if we have someone make the motion or if you just vote. I think someone needs to make a motion to put their name forward. It can't be any of you on this level.
I'll move. I'll do it.
Okay, Carol will and Mel will second it. So the motion is that these 5 individuals who put their names forward, and 3 of them have given new CVs, thank you very much. They were standing for a 2-year term, and the motion has been made and seconded. Any questions? Any comments? I put it to the negative vote. Anyone opposed, please let me know. I'm looking at your faces. Doesn't seem to be anything opposing it. Ian gave me a thumbs up, which I presume is okay. You're all thumbing up. Okay, so the thumbs are up on that one. And the gladiators don't get to kill you tonight. The motion has passed. You have elected those 5 individuals. Turns out you've elected 5 women. I just wanted to point that out in case anyone's keeping track of these things. That's it for the agenda. That's it for my little part. Is there any? I want to thank you, by the way, as like an outsider to this. I want to thank you for doing the tremendous hard work, because I've been on other boards that haven't been as successful in doing what you managed to pull off this year. So I think you've done a great job as a consumer of the festival and someone who was in constant touch with Robert about movies. I just want to congratulate you again for doing a great job, not for having the taste to ask me to run the meeting, but for the job you did. And I know how difficult it is to make decisions when you're in a land of trial and error where no one knows what any of the rules are.
Yeah.
And it's hard to gauge risk and hard to make decisions. So you guys did the right things all the way along, as far as I can tell. And you can't ask for more than that from an innocent bystander like me. And thank you for asking me to help out to run the meeting. I don't know if it's over yet, but the agenda part is over.
Mark, thank you for chairing the meeting. Thank you for your comments and positive comments about our society and what we pulled off this past year. And I think I would make a motion to end the meeting.
Do we not have any new business or any questions from anybody?
Before.
I guess not.
Well, I guess the motion to end the meeting has come, and that's not debatable if I'm not mistaken. So I will accede to your motion. I thank you for allowing me in. Thank you for the time, and really congratulations again. I have been in the position some of you have been in, making decisions, and I know how hard it is just to see a horizon anywhere, let alone figure out how far away you are from it. So thanks for doing all
Did
that.
somebody
Carol,
second that motion to end the meeting?
you know, okay,
Anybody opposed? Okay, Arlene
Arlene
seconded.
seconded.
Arlene seconded, yeah.
Okay, I have to have good minutes. I don't want to be
No, I'm
fired.
glad you
Might
take
be
better
fired.
notes than I am. So I think that's it. Robert, we'll be talking soon. Thank you all for the courtesy of having me help out as little as I can here. And I hope to see you in person one of these days.
Yes.
Thank you to you, Mark, and all to those members who attended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, everybody.
We're going to have a 5-minute break. I thank all the
Don't even
members of
bother.
society to leave the meeting because we're now moving into a board meeting. Mike, thanks for attending.
Okay.
Esther, and
Thank you, Esther. Yeah.
just a down the hall break, and then we'll reconvene.